Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Human beings love to imagine things. And so I'm going to ask all of you to do something I don't normally ask. I want you to imagine for a moment that you can move into another dimension. Now, for every single human here, you would have a different description of what that is. For dimensionality is not something that is basically understood. And for those who say, well, you're moving into this or that dimension, there are words that say you are sensing a different kind of a vibration. But what if I said that you're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up and you're going to be in another dimension? What would that be? How do you think you would handle it for what you think it might look like? I'm going to tell you what it looks like. And it's not what you think. Do you think it's possible that there are invisible kinds of energies on this planet working around you that you cannot see? Most would say yes. Most of those who would listen to a channel like this would say, well, yes, they're my guides, they're angels. And what if I said, no, let's not say they're guides and angels. Let's say that they're basic physics. Physics that you haven't really acknowledged yet. What if it was physics with an attitude? What if it's the field that wants to somehow put things together instead of tearing them apart for coherence? Now, I just said things that you might not understand. What if there were energies all around you that are having almost no effect on you yet because they're out of your dimensional purview? And what if they were all there? What if there was a plan, if you want to say, to have coherence of humanity, where humanity is aware of humanity? Instead of isolating yourself and hoping for the best, you understand that there's some kind of a physical rule that would say that life and consciousness are energy, and you can sense them all around the world. And they belong together. And they sense one another. Kryon, you're talking in mysteries. It really doesn't happen, you know. Really. I want to ask you a question. What do you know about the biology and the consciousness of identical twins? If you've talked to any of the sets of identicals, especially the ones who have lived a while, they'll tell you some amazing things, that they could be on opposite sides of the earth, and yet when their mother died, they both knew it. Or one could be in distress, big distress, and the other one knows it. Over and over, the sets of twins will tell you story after story, and you cannot deny that there is a connection that is greater and faster than the speed of light between them. And the only thing they have that you don't is identical DNA. Quantum biologists are named that way because they believe that your biology has multidimensional attributes. And if that's the case, that means that you might be able to move into another dimension. What would that be like? What if you could wake up? So let's pretend. What if there was a world out there that right now is invisible to you, even to think about, even an awareness of it is not there now. but that it's existed for a very long time, maybe even waiting for you to join it. That's a what if. Let's say you awake tomorrow and you're in another dimension. There will those who say, well, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to see rainbows around everything, and I'm going to be able to walk on the air, and this and this and this and this. And here you are, you wake up, and nothing has changed. Go and look at yourself in the mirror, you haven't changed. You go about your business, and then you realize the earth looks the same. Your friends, they look the same. The vehicle you drive looks the same. The problems you might have had with the engine, the same. And then you say, however, I'm aware of some things I never was aware of before. And you start realizing that something in you has changed. There's a greater intuition. Every step you take, you seem to be more aware of what you're doing. There's a push, you might say, in this dimension that you're receiving to turn left or turn right, and you never had that push before, so you follow the instinct. And you run right into a situation you've been asking for a very long time. You get together with friends. And here it comes, Christmas, and you get together with the friends. And your relatives are there, and all the ones who would question you and wonder what you're up to and what cult you're in today, what spaceship you're going to follow. And it's all there, and it always has been, and you're not looking forward to it. And you go and you meet with them, and all you see is beauty and love, and the one that had irritated you the most. All you see is compassion as they look at you with eyes that are accusing of what you're doing and how you're doing, and all you see is how much you love them. And there's no reaction. You see, you've just moved into a dimension that's been waiting for you. It's a dimension that starts to move your consciousness off the peg of human nature. It's that promised acceleration of vibration that you've been waiting for a very, very long time. And you start to understand and realize, I am not being bothered by any of these loved ones of the past, or the ones who would accuse or point, the ones who may have a little too much alcohol and say the wrong things. It's just not, it's not sticking. None of these things are sticking. And you start to realize you've changed in a dimensionality. You are now part of something you never were part of before. You feel a camaraderie with the planet that you're walking on. You know it's looking at you. Perhaps you want to pick up a piece of dirt and put it on your lips so that you'd have that Gaia homeopathy, and you'd know what the ancients know. And that's what's taught, dear ones, by the ancients. Call it ancient homeopathy with Gaia, if you wish, where the whole planet and all that's there is available for you. And you do it intuitively, and you feel a surge of energy going through you, of compassion, knowledge, wisdom. And you realize you are starting to be evolved. You go into situations which have bothered you for years. The puzzles of being with somebody perhaps that's difficult, or going to work and having to face off with those who are difficult. And suddenly they're not difficult. They're only difficult to themselves, and you're not part of it anymore. It bounces off you, and all you see is love. Now that's evolvement. That is a shift of dimensions, dear ones, where nothing around you seems to be different except you. The whole idea of these twins being able to communicate at some level with themselves because they have identical DNA is starting to occur because of your DNA, which is multidimensional, starting to awaken. And when it starts to awaken, and that elusive 24th multidimensional chromosome, which has always been there, that pair, always been there, starts to awaken, and it starts to talk to the field. That's the DNA, just like in the twins. Now you're connected. And you start being connected with the coherence of the planet. And other people are starting to also have the connection with you, and you can look at them and realize that you know each other. And all there is compassion and beauty in that knowledge. Because you're in coherence with a total stranger. Because that is the new dimension. There are so many invisible things that are waiting for you that have nothing to do with angels, guides, or ETs. What they have to do with is what's always been there in a higher conscious dimension. That's going to be the answer, dear ones, to all of these problems we have been talking about for so long. It's coherence between humans at a level they never expected before, which creates respect. You look at somebody and you know they're wise, and you will go right up to them and not afraid of violating any kind of a social protocol. And you look them in the eye and say, "Hello, old friend." Hello, old friend. Don't be surprised if tears squirt out of their eyes and say the same thing to you, because you're connected through the ages. That is a multidimensional wisdom. And you start seeing these things and realizing these things. Sounds like you got superpowers. And I'll tell you what you got. What you have, dear ones, is the seeds for peace on earth. What you have is the seeds for a correction of corruption on the planet. What you have are seeds that will be passed on to those that you birth. Because this is not just for the ones who are past that point in life. This is an awakening of old souls, young and old, to a new system on this planet that you never expected, that is starting today and yesterday and the day before, to change the way humans behave with humans. And you're seeing it in your news. What you see in your news is the tip of the iceberg. Things are starting to move and change in ways that are actually disturbing, because that multidimensional consciousness that you have can also look into places and see the dirt that never was seen before. You can see inappropriate things where before people only felt their existence and had nothing to say because they couldn't change them. And here you are looking at them. And through the coherence that you have with others in light, those dark things will be vaporized. Now, I've just given you a metaphysical principle of dark and light. It's the way the nodes and the nulls work on this planet. It is a new paradigm of energy. Using a phrase I've always used that said, if you have darkness and you light a match, it has to go away because of the definition of darkness. Darkness is the absence of light. No matter how dark it seems, no matter how corrupt, no matter how ugly, no matter black, if you light a light, it vaporizes. It starts to diminish because you're there. What an idea. You didn't have to work at it. All you had to do was awaken to the new dimension. So that's the vision. It's a good story, isn't it? And all of it is true. Light workers, old souls of this planet, with free choice to see that spark and accept it and say, I want to go there. It'll change your entire life. It changes things you didn't expect. Scientists, if you're here in the room, if you're listening, how would you like the same kind of sparks of intuitions that happened all through history to the scientists who discovered things that you needed to know? Because so many of you listening or here in science know that it lays there ready for discovery, and you just can't put your finger on it, can you? What if you were to awaken to a coherence where all things are known and it becomes crystal clear? And that's going to be the secret for the inventions that are coming very soon. It will change everything. Everything. Texas, you're still the oil state. After all of these years, that's what you're known by. What if I told you there come a time when you don't need oil? Oh, you'll always need a little, but never for fuel anymore on any moving vehicle. Never for fuel to create electricity. You won't need to burn oil for anything. Don't you think that might change some things? And it will, and it's coming. You don't expect what you don't expect because you don't know about what's in the field. Those with coherence will be the leaders of making these things happen, which are going to be good for the state, good for the planet, because there are always alternative energies and things to do to replace what was. It's about integration instead of failure. You don't have to, in these days, have something completely fail and have to rebuild it. Instead, the new can integrate with the old, and slowly the journey will be easy. That's the promise. If you're willing to move into that next dispensation of multidimensionality. That's if you're aware and you have free choice to just sit there and say, I have no idea what he just said. Dimensionality has always been a choice. But in this energy, you can feel it. You know it's there. That's the message. I have another one for today, and I'll give it to you tonight. I'm going to call it the sinking ship of humanity. Real pleasant. You'll see. Go from this place differently than you came. And so it is.